From Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
That ball's going to be in Stephon Moody's hands, and they're going to ball screen. And then your coverage on that ball screen has to be real good. Like you guys heard me say the other day.
We've got to prove that we can go out on the road and continue to play like that. We certainly did that in the Syracuse game. We executed very well.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network on a basketball Tuesday night. USC in action tonight on the road at Ole Miss. Clemson in action tonight as well on the road at Virginia. Big league games for both teams tipping off tonight at 7 o'clock. Big test for both teams. USC trying to jury from over the weekend. Clemson trying to stay red hot. I don't know if anybody in the country is hotter than Clemson. There may be some that are equal, but 5 straight ACC wins, 3 straight over top 25 teams qualifies you for hot status in my book.
There's no doubt about it. And I'm serious when I say that that's very comfortable in Bon Secours Arena. I'm telling you, I know Lil John's going to look like a palace when they get through with it.
Mm-hmm.
But, boy, they've had some tremendous games in Greenville. Big test tonight because, let's face it, they've come from the hunter to the one being hunted because Virginia is below 500 in the ACC. So they're looking for a big win at home to get their ship righted. It was righted somewhat with their win at Florida State. I think, didn't they win at Florida State Sunday?
They won against Miami.
Miami, okay.
They beat Miami, lost at Florida State.
Oh, no, I was talking about Virginia.
I'm talking about Virginia.
Virginia, yeah.
Virginia lost at Florida State.
Right.
Yeah,
So
they've lost 3 of their last 4 in the league. After getting off to a great start, their only early loss was to George Washington. They've had some strange losses. George Washington lost at Virginia Tech, lost at Georgia Tech. Those are road games, those 2, and at Florida State. So they've lost 3 straight ACC games at home, but they have won their 2 ACC home games. They beat Miami. So
of course,
at John Paul Jones Arena, they're pretty tough. K-Mac, good to have you back in the house.
Yeah, good to be back. Hope everybody had a good MLK day. And now we got some basketball. You mentioned the Tigers and the Gamecocks going to Oxford to try to get a big road win and a shorthanded Ole Miss squad.
Yeah, this will be a good test for South Carolina. Stephon Moody, leading scorer in the SEC, great guard for Ole Miss. We'll see how Frank Martin's team responds to his defensive directions. They've got a plan. I mean, he knows what they need to do. Again, just a matter of going out there and executing. But coming off a bad road game last time out on the road, K-Mac, they need to show if they're going to be one of the nation's top teams, they got to show they can go on the road in a hostile place and win.
Yep, and I think they will play better than they did last week. I don't know if that's a big limb because they played horrendous at Alabama. I do think they'll play better in Oxford.
All right, 800-956-7266 is our number here on Sports Talk. Love to hear from you tonight. We'll be right back. And the phone number here on Sports Talk, 800-956-7266. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com. On Twitter at SportsTalkSC. The website, sportstalksc.com. And on Facebook, Sports Talk Radio Network. I need to hear from some Gamecock fans tonight because I am startled. I am shocked by the results so far of our poll question of the week. The question is, it's really not a question, it's more of a statement for you to fill in the blanks. My confidence in Will Muschamp as USC's coach is A, trending up, B, trending down, or C, unchanged. 62% of the responses, and we're closing in on 1,000 here for just the second day this has been out, 62% say their confidence in Will Muschamp as USC's coach is trending down.
Based on?
I don't know. I mean, it's an open-ended question.
Mm-hmm.
Trending up, about 34%, unchanged, about 3.6%. Now, Clemson fans jumping in there to drive this thing down.
Well, it goes both ways. I've noticed a lot of our poll results can get a little skewed. 90% of the respondents picked Alabama to beat Clemson in that bowl game.
That would be Gamecocks.
Yeah, there are some people.
Mostly Gamecocks. So you figure, so all of a sudden Clemson fans are going to jump over here and drive this thing in that direction? I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. From what I've seen of Muschamp, I think there's plenty of reason for Gamecock fans to be confident and optimistic.
Yeah, and the general sense out there from South Carolina fans and the buzz is definitely that they're excited. There's no reason why they would be trending down now. I do question a lot of the results of our Sports Talk SC.com polls for that very reason. I have noticed, and I think this is probably a sign that Will Muschamp is doing a pretty good job, that rival fans are chiming in on a lot of the things happening with South Carolina, which they weren't really doing before. South Carolina was kind of they were in a 6 month or 6 week rather when Spurrier left. They were just kind of, they didn't even care about South Carolina. Nothing that was happening. They barely even paid attention when South Carolina lost to the Citadel. They were just too focused on their own season and their own things happening. But now I think they're starting to pay attention a little bit what Will Muschamp's doing over at South Carolina. If you have not gone over there to vote, go to our website, sportstalksc.com, and participate in your right to vote. The Citadel has their new head football coach. Didn't take long after Mike Houston took the job at James Madison. Today, they promoted offensive coordinator Brent Thompson to head football coach. He's a 1998 graduate of University. And that's located.
I have no idea. Where is it?
I'm asking you. I figured you would know. He came to the Citadel with Mike Houston from the Norine 2 years ago. Thompson and defensive coordinator Maurice Drayton interviewed Monday for the job and met with university president today. And Drayton would have been the first African-American head coach in one of the three major sports at the Citadel. But they are going to go with Brent Thompson. They want to stick with the highly effective triple option offense. He is the guy, the architect of that offense. It only makes sense that they stay within their system, within their family. Now, we'll see how many of the assistants go with Coach Houston to James Madison. The Bulldogs broke school records for total yards last season, 347 rushing yards per game. And in passing, they averaged over 17 yards per completion. So he is the guy, Brent Thompson.
Norwich University, did you say?
Norwich,
Okay.
Yeah. Did you find it?
The military. Well, see, a description of the school. The Military College of Vermont. But it's a private school. But they call it the Military College of Vermont. Now,
maybe they only produce privates.
His alma mater has the wrong nickname, though.
What is it?
The Terriers.
The Terriers.
He'd be better off at Wofford. Yeah.
Third school with Terriers, along with Wofford and Boston University. Which reminds Dave DeGuglielmo, a Boston U graduate, offensive line coach for the Patriots, one went away from going for another ring. I think people are tired of the Patriots. I think we're Tom Brady'd out. I want to see. I hate it. Look, Googe has had his fun. He's done a great job. I'm pulling for Peyton Manning over there.
I'm pulling for anybody but the Patriots.
There you go.
Just tired.
I'm pulling for Peyton Manning. So I'm going Broncos, Panthers, Super Bowl. That's my Super Bowl. What you got?
I agree with you.
What you
Broncos, Panthers. Oh man, I didn't think the Panthers were going to beat Seattle last week, and I was wrong there. So I don't know if I'm even in a position to pick out about the Panthers beating Arizona either. And maybe that's just the hometown allegiance, the reverse jinx, and I'm trying to pull on them. I hope I'm wrong. I don't feel good about the Panthers and Cardinals, so I'll go with Arizona and I'll go with New England. They're so good, and the Broncos really haven't figured out their offense yet. I know Peyton Manning's back in there. They didn't look great. They did just enough to beat the Steelers, a shorthanded, injury-riddled Steelers team at home. They found a way to beat them. I'm going to go with Tom Brady over Peyton Manning.
I don't know. They get you
Is Al Jazeera credentialed to cover that game?
I don't know, but they get you up in that altitude. That's difficult. The only strange thing that gets me about Arizona is
what's the deflation of a ball in that altitude?
Exactly. Yeah.
Arizona won despite themselves. Bruce Arians made
let's don't even talk
bonehead
about that. We talked about that last night.
Here's
that game
the thing.
is 2
That's
days
why
old.
I'm
was a
saying
great
I
game.
think they lose.
Move on.
I mean, when did you watch that? I know you had your party. I wasn't here last night, so
Right,
I got to relive this a little bit.
Well, I got home. It was maybe 10:30. I started watching it. And so, 12:30, 12:45, I had no idea. I watched it like it was live. And, I was shocked. I was stunned. I was pissed.
Like when they hit that Hail Mary, you're going, oh, I mean, what?
Well, yeah.
2 Hail Marys.
I'm like, this can't happen again.
Yeah, and it did.
I mean, when when the play started, I thought to myself, okay, look, we've had one. We're not going to get two. You never get 2 Hail Marys in the same season, much less the same career. But we did. And then again, how often do you go into overtime in the playoffs and lose the toss and never get a chance to touch
I don't
football?
like that rule. That's
2 years in a row.
That's not a good rule. That's why I wouldn't mind. You're on the 2-yard line. You've got all that momentum. You've got Aaron Rodgers. You tell Aaron Rodgers 2 yards to win the game, or do you want to put it on a coin toss and maybe you get it, maybe you don't. You still got to drive the whole field. But if somebody told you in overtime you're going to put the ball on the 2-yard line with one play to win it, man, the way that momentum and as stunned as they were after giving up that play, go for 2 right there. Give them the dagger.
I hear you. I think that they were probably so stunned about scoring. They had no timeouts. And it's like, they had no time to think about a play to run. They're just thinking, let's kick the extra point. Let's get our heads together, and we'll try and win this thing in overtime and take our chances. They probably had no chance to even think about going for 2 because they had to be stunned on the sideline that they pulled it off again. But there you go. You got, I just kind of, let's move on.
No, but I was saying, that's why I'm saying that Bruce Arians did some strange things. The reason why they had the second one was because he blitzed. It's crazy. You put everybody in the back of the end zone.
Well, and he also threw the ball with 8 minutes left, and they had the lead, and you're going, wait a minute now. Or not even that was in the last 3 minutes. They could have ran another 40, 50 seconds. It was very odd. He's an odd guy, though, and it works for him. And it's a rematch of last year's divisional playoff game with the Panthers and Cardinals, except this time around the Cardinals actually have a guy that's an NFL quarterback taking the snaps.
Who put the ball in jeopardy so many times.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He got the bad one out of his system.
We dropped at least 2 interceptions and then had a touchdown pass bounce off an arm of a defender in the end zone. According to the Bovado folks out in Las Vegas, Deshaun Watson, 9-2 favorite to win the Heisman. Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, 5-1. J.T. Barrett, Baker Mayfield, 10-1. Boy, there are going to be a ton of true Heisman candidates in 2016. It could go any direction. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. You want more out of your education? Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education online at sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future has no limits. To the phones we go. Ronnie in North Augusta. Welcome up first tonight here on Sports Talk. How are you?
Hey, Phil. How y'all doing tonight?
Ronnie, you sound good, my man. Good to hear from you.
Well, you do too. I was a little worried about you the other night. I know that's going to be a hard one for you to take.
Yeah.
No, we'll let you. I'll let you get past that. But I'll bet you if you had some kind of way to get the information out of these people you're talking about responding to your question,
Yeah.
I'll bet you 90% of them don't have any idea who the assistant coaches are that he's hired, what their backgrounds are, how many great defenses Muschamp has produced over the years, where our recruiting class was ranked the day he took the job, and where it sits today. About 90% of these people, the only thing they know is what they get somebody else's opinion, but they sit there and go back and forth with on the computers locked up in their little rooms at night. They probably couldn't find the stadium or somebody drove them to the fairgrounds. And that's how you get those types of things. Or even I don't know what in the hell they're looking for watching, because I see things going up drastically under Muschamp, and I really don't think it's going to take that long for him to do it. Now that we got some coaches in there that are young and willing to work their butts off, I think things will get turned around. Now, we're going to be a world beater next year. No, I'm not saying that, but I think you will see a much better product on the field. And I'm like you, y'all said all along, that it's still going to come down to one thing. If the quarterback play isn't any better, then the team's not going to be any better. But as far as the coaches, I'm very happy with what he's brought on board. Y'all have a good night, Bill.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I think he's put together a very good staff. And, you know, they're out doing what they're supposed to be doing right now. I don't see any reason not to feel good if you're a South Carolina fan about the staff that he's put together. You know, Roper has been successful in many different areas where he has coached. I mean, he had a great run at Duke, and you know, I hear it didn't go well, but they were hampered by a quarterback situation. They've got to fix the quarterback situation at South Carolina and you know, figure out, you know, through spring practice and early fall camp, who or what combination of quarterbacks they can. I know Travaris Robinson, this is his first time as a defensive coordinator. So, but he's had great experience coaching at Florida and coaching at Auburn. And he's not, the thing is, I'm not going to say Muschamp's going to be holding his hands, but we all know, much like with South Carolina under Spurrier, we all knew who was running the offense, and I think we'll all know who's running the defense at South Carolina. I mean, Muschamp, that's his forte. He's the mastermind of the defense, and it will certainly run through him and to the other assistants on the defensive side. So I feel pretty confident that Muschamp's going to have a pretty solid defense with the Gamecocks as well. We'll be back. More of your calls coming up. South Carolina Radio Network from Main Street, Columbia. Sports Talk is your sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. Every night, 6 to 8, the final word in sports in South Carolina. Your most informed word, your most intelligent word, and when I'm talking, your most handsome word in sports. I think that goes without question. Behind the bulletproof glass tonight, we have Larkin Belton, LB, as I've come to a nickname around here, Larkin. So you're LB. Or we can call you Pound. Get it? LB, Pound. Get that? Don't think Larkin gets it. LB, that's the abbreviation for Pound.
We got it.
Yeah, I don't think he got it.
Maybe he doesn't want to get it.
Yeah. Back to the phones we go, 800-956-7266. Matt in Charleston, you're up next with us here on Sports Talk. How are you?
Thank you, Bill, for taking my call. I'm fine. Listen, I just want to let you fellas know I used to be a regular caller last year or year before last, especially back there in the baseball championship years. I agree with you and K-Mac and the professor most of the time, even though K-Mac is a little bit controversial sometimes for me. But I mean, hey, he pretty well supports what he has to say, and I appreciate that very much. As far as this poll is concerned for Muschamp, you know, he didn't do well down at Florida, and he's considered a retread by some of the talking heads out there, from what I understand on the internet. But at least McElwain came in there from Colorado State and showed that the talent that Muschamp was recruiting was excellent talent, because he was able to turn around and win with it. You know, the same can be said for Gene Chizik at Auburn. He won with Tommy Tubblebill's players, and I don't understand why. I think Pat Dye works over there at Auburn, why he didn't want to keep Tuberville on. There must have been some other reason why Tuberville left. But now, getting to the NFL, I want to see anybody win it besides Brady and the Patriots, because I think Belichick and Brady are both a little bit on the arrogant side. And then you look at Peyton Manning. He's never been controversial, and he's always helped players that were what you call also-rans and mediocre before he got a hold of them, invested his own time in them, and he was able to turn them into all-stars. I'm talking about the receivers. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing about it is if Denver can't win it by somehow or another finding a way to upset the Patriots in Denver next week, and they already know they can beat them because they beat them during the regular season without Peyton Manning. But the deal is that I want Cam Newton to win it, most valuable player, and win the Super Bowl. Now, I thought that the MVP was announced actually before the Super Bowl. But, you know, you all can correct me on that. But Carolina's never won a Super Bowl. That's why I'd like to see them do it.
Yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the votes for MVP do come in before the Super Bowl, but it's not announced until I think that's
he has to be the MVP, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Hands down, he's got to be the MVP. Yeah.
Right. Now, I wanted to say one more thing about Muschamp.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the talent, I'm talking about the brain trust with the coordinators that he's coaches that he's surrounded himself with. He's showing a key element of leadership. He's not afraid to surround himself with the best and the brightest. Now, this McClendon fellow he got out of Georgia, I understand that even though he's done some coaching, his strong suit is recruiting. He's the one that brought Gurley in there and brought Nick Chubb in there, I think. And then what is his name, Thompson, I think that he got from Auburn by way of Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, brought in McElroy, Trent Richardson, and also Julio Jones.
Mm. Well, I think that he is a big believer that you have to be strong in recruiting at practically every position on your staff, except, as he said at his news conference, he believed that you got to have a great coach. And which positions was it, did he say? Did he say – trying to remember
offensive coordinator, defensive line, or defense coordinator.
There's a couple of positions where he said, you know, you got to be good as a coach, but then everybody else has got to be able to recruit. Yeah. You know.
Right. And one more thing I'd like to say: I was not a big Muschamp fan, but I think he's impressed me with what he's assembled there on a coaching staff as far as recruiters and a coaching staff. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he might turn that program around in a hurry because the cupboard's not completely bare. They still have some good players there.
Yeah, and thanks very much for your phone call. No, it's not completely bare. They've got a number of starters coming back from last year's team. That's a double-edged sword if you look at it from South Carolina's standpoint. I mean, they were a 3-win team. How many starters do you want back? But the starters do give you experience and the knowledge of how to play in the SEC. But I'm sure the coaches pretty much wipe the slate clean and will give everybody a fresh start going into spring practice, which could allow for a lot of position changes and a lot of moving up and down on the two deep depth chart. Again, I look at the staff, and time will tell, but there were some areas of weakness, especially on the defense the last couple of years, where it appeared that coaching was lacking. The defensive line seemed like it just did not get any better under Deke Adams. Maybe that was because of from having a defensive front and defensive ends in particular of NFL caliber to not. The linebackers I thought played well. I don't know why people were getting on Kurt Botkin. I mean, the linebackers were the strength of that defense the last couple of years. I thought the linebackers did well.
The linebackers had to cover up for the malfeasance of the front line. I mean, sometimes they had blockers. Anytime your defensive line lets blockers get into the linebackers 2 seconds after the snap, is it the linebacker's fault? I don't think
it's really hard to compliment anybody off South Carolina's defensive coaching staff the past 2 seasons. That doesn't mean there weren't some good coaches on there and some good players, but that whole thing was just a train wreck.
Well, the secondary was atrocious.
I thought they played too passive.
And Kurt Botkin and Deke Adams fighting on the sidelines a couple years ago wasn't a great moment.
I didn't have any problem with that because I think coaches kind of verbally fight all the time on the sideline.
Yeah, usually not during the game on the sideline.
But I will say this. Don't be surprised if you don't see more of that with Muschamp with his fiery attitude.
Well, I don't think that'll be a good thing if you have coaches.
You don't want to see coaches get.
It's one thing to be fired up. Yeah. It's another thing to be restrained by players between two coaches. I mean, anyway.
But I think it was what they were asked to do. For instance, look at Brent Venables. The one thing you thought about Clemson's defense was their linebackers were protected, because they couldn't cover well in the so that what did he do? I'm gonna ask you to do something you can do. I want you to stuff the running lanes, and I want you to blitz when I want you to rush the passer. South Carolina, just stand there and wait for the team to make a mistake. You can't play defense that way. So that's why I said I can't measure what talent they had because of what they were asked to do or not do.
Thanks for your phone call. 800-956-7266 is the number here on Sports Talk. Couple of other notes for you from Ole Miss. Their forward, Sebastian Saiz, did I say that right?
Saiz.
Yeah.
Forward Sebastian Saiz had surgery this morning, partially detached retina. He's out indefinitely. Averaged about 13 points per game, second on the team, and a team high 10 rebounds per game.
Yeah, that's 6'9", 240 pounds off their lineup.
So he'll be replaced by looks like Tomas Giello, who's averaging 8 points, about 4 rebounds per game, and also Anthony Perez, who's averaging about 6 and 4.
Stephon Moody, I was watching a game with him earlier this season against LSU, and that guy – right across the timeline, straight across half court, the guy was pulling up and knocking down 3-point shots. He is a guy that you have to guard all over the court. It'll be an intriguing matchup to see how Frank Martin decides to defend him. Who gets the guard there? Is it going to be Sindarius Thornwell? Are you going to ask him to put out all that kind of energy guarding him, which often can hurt you on the offensive side of the court? Who will the Gamecocks put on him?
Well, the thing is, they run a lot of screens.
Right.
And as Frank said yesterday at his press conference, I think he said they noticed on film Ole Miss had, 15 different ways of screening for Stephon Moody. So it's not the matter of who's going to have him. It's who's going to pick him up.
Yeah, you don't expect the guy to set a screen coming right across half court and the guy pull up from the logo.
3 or 4 people will guard him. You know why? Because you want him to think every time he comes across, how do I break down this guy? Wait a minute, now this guy is guarding me. Hold it, this guy is guarding me. So you make him think. That's what you do.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Let's get to the recruiting report here on this Tuesday night. K-Mac just I'm not going to go see Star Wars now.
Yeah, you don't have to. I just told you what happened.
Ruined it for me.
I won't ruin it on the air.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. I wasn't going to go anyway.
I know you weren't. I wouldn't have ruined it for you.
Not exactly my kind of movie. To the recruiting report we go now. Defensive back Romeo Finley of Niceville, Florida, visited Georgia Tech over the weekend. And this weekend, he's going to Clemson for his good time at Georgia Tech. A lot of good people there, he said. So everybody looks up and sees the tall buildings. Pretty cool. And he knows that there's a need for him there, and he can fit in perfectly, like the players, likes the academics. Yesterday, Clemson recruiter Mike Reed met with Finley for an in-home visit, and he said he was told they've got a lot to offer, so he wants to go down there and see. And of course, the Tigers are losing some safety, so he knows there's an opportunity there as well. He's joined him on the Clemson visit. Georgia Tech currently leads for him. Paul Johnson will have his in-home on Thursday. Miami coach Mark Richt will be in Wednesday. Finley will take an official to Miami on January 29th, and he plans to take all of his officials before making his decision. Now, as you know, Clemson is still looking hard at some defensive backs. I mentioned Finley there. There's also Daniel Thomas and Lavert Hill. Arkeem Byrd is another one the Tigers are showing some interest in. He's out of Savannah. He's been talking to Mike Reed, and he said that Reed's coming down to visit with him to talk about a possible official visit on January 29th. Last weekend, Byrd made an official to Wake Forest. He liked it, liked the small campus, liked the close-knit feeling of the program. This weekend, he's looking at Missouri, Louisville, and Georgia Tech for a possible visit. He'd like to take 2 more visits and then make his decision. He plays safety, but mostly was a running back last season, and he rushed for 1,250 yards and 16 touchdowns. A couple of USC commitments made official visits or are making official visits elsewhere. Defensive lineman Cecil Stallings, Tucker, Georgia. Offensive lineman Lloyd Cushenberry of Geismar, Louisiana. They've been committed since the summer, still are committed. Both say it. Both say they're still committed, but they're taking these other visits. And they're both looking at Mississippi State. Now, Stallings went there last weekend, and Cushenberry is going there this weekend. Stallings said he enjoyed it. It was better than he thought it was going to be. Didn't know that Starkville was that nice. So he's kind of shocked about that. He liked the family atmosphere there. Now, he said he's not talked recently with USC. In fact, his only contact with the new staff came when his recruiter visited him soon after Muschamp was hired. He still considers himself committed to the Gamecocks and is considering USC or Ole Miss for this coming weekend. If he visits one this weekend, he might visit the other January 29th. He said that he's still interested in the Gamecocks. Asked if that's where he wants to go, he says, I'm not sure yet. My options are still open. Asked if he still want him, he says, kind of, but who knows? Not a good sign if they're not talking to you regularly at this point, I don't think.
Seems like it could be bad.
Could be. You know, the word that they passed along to him and his coach was that they didn't think he fit in their defensive scheme.
Kind of like the night of the prom when I couldn't reach my date the whole day.
Oh, is that right?
Or night,
and you were left dateless.
Kind of a tough experience.
Muschamp and assistants Travaris Robinson and Lance Thompson were in the New Orleans area Monday. They stopped in to see defensive back Christian Fulton of Metairie and defensive lineman Stephon Taylor of New Orleans. Now, Fulton visited LSU last weekend. He's calling the Tigers his favorite right now. He said he most likely will take a visit to USC, though no firm date was set. He's scheduled for Arkansas this weekend and Florida January 29th. Florida coaches also were in to see him last night. Much different story with Taylor. He's got a definite visit with the Gamecocks January 29th. He went to Texas last weekend. He's going to Florida State this weekend. LSU and Oklahoma are in the mix. He doesn't claim a favorite, but he loves Muschamp, Robinson, and Thompson. He says he had a great relationship with them. He says Muschamp's been recruiting him for a long time. Likes what they've been telling him. He'd like to play for him, he said. If I adapt to it, that will be the place I will be at, talking about South Carolina. If it has what I need and what my parents want. He said his relationship with Muschamp and the others dates back to their coaching days at Auburn and Florida. And he's very familiar with Muschamp, Thompson and T-Rob, as he put it. He did not want to identify a favorite, but said if everything goes well on the visit, USC would be in his top 3. But he said, I'm not going to say I'm going to commit. Florida State coach Jimbo Fisher, 2 of his assistants, also met with Taylor last night. He plans to wait until signing day on his decision. You want to know what's up with John Thompson? We've got John Simpson. The latest with John Simpson and a little bit more coming up. All right, John Simpson of Fort Dorchester went to Florida last weekend. That was his second official. He'd been to LSU before. This weekend, Clemson. And January 29th, he is set for Alabama. Along with those, he got a part-time job and wrestling season now on his plate. He says that will not be for an official visit to USC. About the visit to Florida, he said it was a great visit, really enjoyed the time, likes the outfit there. As for the Gamecocks, he said they're trying to set up a home visit with him. They were trying to get in yesterday, but his mother was not going to be available, and she wants to be in on the meeting. Clemson, LSU, Florida, USC all plan to get in to see Simpson this week. He said no one has risen to the top of his list at this point. Still holding out. Signing day announcement. His mother, grandfather, and brother will join him on the Clemson visit. USC recruitment met with defensive back Torian Hampton, 6'4", 185 of Lakeland, Florida today. And he said that they were telling him they like his film. They're going to call him tonight or tomorrow. And he said that Robinson likes how he comes down and makes tackles and hits and how long he is. They have not offered, however. He'll visit Middle Tennessee State this weekend, Bowling Green, on January 29th. A USC offer would lead to a visit there. Quarterback Tylen Oden of Columbia, Tennessee, met with USC's Kurt Roper today. Second meeting between the two. He believes Roper will offer after his official visit. The date of that has not been set. Oden visits Rutgers tomorrow and Iowa State this weekend. Will Muschamp, Lance Thompson visited defensive end Jacoby Hill of Atlanta today. He visits USC on the 29th. Defensive back Daniel Thomas, Montgomery, Alabama, expecting a visit from his USC recruiter this week, and Clemson is still in the mix. He was at USC last weekend. He might visit Clemson or Maryland this weekend. Carolina today, and he's expecting Auburn, Mississippi State, and Minnesota to visit this week. 2017 defensive end Low Western was offered by Miami. Defensive back McCole Hardman of Elberton, Georgia, released an up. He has Clemson on his list, though he hasn't visited there in a while, and he doesn't have an official visit scheduled. The others on the list, Ohio State, Tennessee, Michigan. Defensive lineman Jamil Dukes of Mooresville, North Carolina, official to USC last weekend because been in touch with recruiter Sean Elliott about rescheduling, but a date is not. He said Elliott may be in to see him this week. Said he's scheduled for this coming weekend and not sure. The juniors this semester will determine that. East Carolina's another. Spartanburg quarterback Austin Scott made an official and liked it. He goes this weekend, and Southern Miss is coming in to see him on Tuesday. USC Monday on defensive lineman Emmanuel McNeil of Lawrenceville, Georgia. And receiver from Moultrie, Georgia, has not made a – he says he is still committed to Arkansas. He was at USC this past weekend. He's just committed. Muschamp in to see him this week. Top.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
We are back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a Tuesday night from Columbia. Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, Professor Tom Hayes. 800-956-7266 is our number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. On Twitter @sportstalksc. Looking forward to hearing more from you tonight. Here in our second hour, feel free to dial us up and share your comments or your questions about recruiting or about basketball or about spring practice, or about Muschamp and how you feel he's going to do, or about Clemson trying to have another great year next year, the coaching change at the Citadel, anything else that you want to bring up tonight, the NFL playoffs, the championship games for the conferences on Sunday. Are the Panthers moving on to the Super All right, back we are. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network down in Oxford, Mississippi. South Carolina has taken the lead since the last time we updated. 8-7, Gamecocks on a bit of a run. 6-0 run over the last couple of minutes. Cautious has 4 and 3 rebounds for the Gamecocks. And Carrera has 2 and Notice has 2. They've warmed up to 31% shooting. So South Carolina now back in this one after the slow start, and Ole Miss has just made a basket to go up 10-8. So tight start here, a little bit of back and forth between the two teams. One thing that is a good trend for South Carolina early on, rebounding. Once again, Gamecocks out in front of their opponent on the boards 11-6, including 5 offensive rebounds so far. They tell you this is a rebounding machine of a team. They most of the time get after it pretty hard on the boards. Made a mistake in the earlier part of the show. Clemson doesn't tip until 8 o'clock tonight on the ACC network. So if you're looking for the Clemson game, give yourself a little more time. It'll be 8 o'clock. You want more out of your education? Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education online. To find out more, visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future has no limits. Other basketball tonight that we're keeping an eye on is outside of USC and Clemson. Kind of a quiet night around the state. Tennessee Wesleyan plays at Wofford. Yes, Clemson is a bit ready for Virginia's best shot at them tonight.
10-point underdog are the Tigers tonight.
10-point underdog.
10-point dogs.
Yeah.
I was surprised Clemson didn't crack into the top 25 and either poll. Boy,
they're knocking on the door, though.
And I get it. It's a week, but to me, it's a weekly poll. And you can't tell me right now, Clemson is not one of the top 25 best teams in college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they might not be there at the end of the day, but right now, there aren't 25 teams in America playing better than Clemson.
They're one of the top 27 teams because they're 27th in both polls if you go that far. But yeah, they've got the resume now. They keep winning.
Yeah, if they win tonight, they'll be top 20 next week.
Parentes is the guy you have to watch out for. But see, Brogdon is going to get his. Gill is going to get his. It's Parentes shooting from the darn logo that will haunt you. That's why you got to stay on him. That's the guy you have to shut down.
All right, here's the update from Oxford. Tight one, 17-14, Ole Miss with 10:25 to go. And USC has hit its last 4 shots. And the Gamecocks right now being led by Notice, 2 for 2 from the floor, including a 3. He's got 5 points thus far. Cashinus has just scored to give him 6 points, and the Gamecocks are down 17-16.
It's like I'm listening to the game on the radio.
No, it's not. I'm not giving actual.
You can't. You're doing this off the internet.
Don't say that.
Here we go.
Here's the interesting thing. The Gamecocks have 2 turnovers. They have not forced a turnover yet. Over 10 minutes into the game, they have not forced a turnover. So that will need to change.
That'll make Frank Martin happy.
Yeah, that's got to change. They got to get
some
turnovers.
Here's the key, though.
By the way, Moody, just to check him, he's got 2 assists for him already.
But see, Moody's turnovers are self-inflicted. That's why I say he's going to have about 4 or 5. However, it's when the ball is in the other guard's hands when you have to turn him over. First of all, it's hard to turn him over, force him to turn it over, because he's so stout. He's close to the floor. It's almost like trying to press Devin Downey. You can't do it. I mean, he takes a dribble that's only 1 inch off the floor. It's hard to turn those guys over.
All right, got a break coming up, 800-956-7266. The number here on Sports Talk. Lines are open if you'd like to join us here on this Tuesday night from Columbia. Now the Rebels have gone on a spurt, 6-0 run over the last 52 seconds. They're up on USC now 25-18, 7:33 to go. In the first half, Moody continues to lead with 7. And for South Carolina, Kaishanis has 6. Ole Miss now shooting 44%, 4 of 10 from behind the arc. USC just 1 of 6 behind the arc. 3 turnovers in the game, all by the Gamecocks. So they are not getting much in terms of their defense forced turnovers against this Ole Miss team thus far. 800-956-7266 is our number here on Sports Talk. If you'd like to join us on the program, love to have you with us. Whether you are a Carolina Gamecock or you are a Clemson Tiger, all fans of our teams in the state of South Carolina, all of them can agree on Founders Federal Credit Union with a convenient location on USC's campus. A Clemson office coming soon. Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership.
Tennessee Wesleyan leading Wofford 10 minutes to go in the half, 22-20.
A few notes from our buddy John Whittle at thebigspur.com, writing about some things with USC football that he is hearing. None of this is official. It's what he is hearing. And he says he's been told former Alabama running back Roy Upchurch is going to be on the strength and conditioning staff as an intern. Former Rutgers quarterback Chase Dodd, that's Bobby Bentley's son, also on the strength and conditioning staff as an intern. There's a quality control coach vacancy right now, and he says 2 names he's hearing, Eric Kimry and Steve Tannehill. Okay, Tannehill, of course, looking for a job after being let go at Union County. I was talking with some folks about that situation last week, and it was really kind of a surprise to him. He was there was a board meeting called, the Union County School District, whatever. A meeting was called, and next thing they knew, it became a meeting on a personnel matter. And the next thing they knew, Tannehill was out of a job, and which is a shame for him. Had a great first season there when they made it to the state championship game. This past year, they made it to the upper state finals.
Lost to South Point, who won it.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Not
I mean, a lot of
shame
things
in
go into this, and I don't know what the situation is, but, we're all Steve Tannehill fans here and want him to do well.
That's a hard job. I mean, those people, they want to win big at Union County.
People.
Yeah. Those
people of Union County.
They want to win.
They
don't settle for.
How about the people of Pillion? The people of Pillion want to win?
They're a little more patient than the people of Union County when it comes
well, they
to
gave Ben Freeman how many years?
Well, Ben Freeman won a lot of games
He
there.
did.
Yeah,
But he coached there, what, 20-something years?
He was there a long time.
Yeah. And Eric Kimry, of course, another former Gamecock quarterback. So, either one of those would be just dandy. Quality control coaches who plan to stay, he says, Scott Spurrier, Brian Turk, and Shaq Wilson. And he says grad assistants Jordan Diaz, Kyle Hoke, Gus Inabidet, Mark Orphy, and Seth Strickland are also staying on as well. Mr. Whittle knows the happenings over there.
Information. Information. Information.
All right, they're down to about 4 minutes to go in the half. Ole Miss up 7 on the Gamecocks, 28-21, and nothing really has changed of major note except Perez is now the leading scorer in the game from Ole Miss. Anthony Perez, forward, he's got 9 points, has not missed a shot. All his points coming on 3-pointers, 3 for 3 from 3, and he has 3 rebounds. So that's pretty good. 3 for 3, 3 rebounds.
But that's what haunted
9 points.
That's what haunted South Carolina and Alabama, a guy that doesn't score much, and suddenly he gets a 3-point touch.
Mm-hmm.
But that happens at home for the other team when a guy you don't expect to.
Difference in the game basically is 3-point shooting. Both have 9 field goals, but Ole Miss has got 5 from 3. USC's got 1. Ole Miss also 5 of 6 from the line. USC 2 of 3. Ole Miss has now turned it over twice. The Gamecocks 4 times. So not a whole lot going on there in terms of turnovers. 800-956-7266 is the number. Wanted to mention before we get back to our phone calls that other games tonight around the SEC, Mississippi State plays at Florida. Game's already underway. We'll update that for you. LSU at Texas A&M. That's the marquee game tonight. Texas A&M leading the league at 5-0. If the Gamecocks were able to win, they'd go to 4-1. If LSU beats Texas A&M, they'd be 5-1. A&M be 5-1. So the Gamecocks would be right up there at the top of the conference standings. But they've got to take care of their business. Alabama at Auburn tonight. Mm-hmm. Auburn coming off their big win over Kentucky, and other ACC games tonight. Besides,
Clemson and Virginia.
Yeah, Clemson and Virginia. And of course, my page just went dead. So phones on my page.
NC State is at Pittsburgh tonight. We talked about NC State being winless. Mm-hmm. That's the only other game in the ACC tonight.
All right, very good. Tim in Pawleys Island is with us next here on Sports Talk. Hi, Tim. Welcome into the program.
How you gentlemen doing tonight?
Man, we're doing great. Good to have you with us.
Okay, and hey, look, I'm in the car a lot, folks, and listening to y'all, and y'all do a great job. And I was just wondering, getting ahead of the game a little bit, going to the college baseball in the state. Michael Payette, preseason Louisville Slugger, All-American shortstop at Coastal Carolina. I was wondering when the last time we've had one in-state shortstop that was a preseason All-American in the state of South Carolina.
Oh, we've had them. Yeah, we've had them. I mean,
Drew Meyer, Khalil Green.
Do we have to go back? Khalil Green was the best one we've had lately, but was he a preseason All-American going into his junior year? I was just wondering.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. Yeah. I'd have to go back and look, but I'd venture that he was. I'd venture that Drew Meyer also was. Stephen Tollison at South Carolina was also a pretty highly touted.
How about the one that followed Drew from down Charleston way, who was so good?
Reese Havens.
Yeah,
he kind of moved around a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure that with the players that they've had come through, I'm sure they have.
I'm talking about the Louisville Sluggers, one of your predominantly. You got all these teams now, but as far as the Louisville Slugger teams, we'll go back. Khalid had a year his sophomore year, but I was just saying in the state of South Carolina, y'all saying all those guys have been a member of the Louisville Slugger preseason team.
I would hazard a guess to say. I would hazard a guess to say yes. That they've had shortstops in particular. If you're just talking about that one position, the great shortstops that they've had, and of course Khalil Green, as you mentioned,
yes,
Golden Spikes winner.
Yeah, I would think that there has been at least one from Carolina Clemson that was a preseason All-American.
Not to take anything away.
No, not at all. Honor. But we'd have to go back and check the records on that. So.
He was y'all tomorrow because y'all did a sporadic bunch of names. I'm talking about one or the two. There's only 3. Now there's all these All-American teams, but Louisville Slugger is one of your big ones. Mm-hmm. And you go back and you're saying guys have, okay, I want to check that because I don't think all those guys have.
All right, I tell you what,
well, we didn't say all of them, but we said out of that bunch, you had some in there.
I feel very confident that Khalil Green was a preseason All-American going into his junior year. Same with Drew Meyer. I would be willing to say those two very confidently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's not to say there aren't others.
Okay, no problem. I was just with.
All right, we're gonna look it up. Give me what was the year for Drew? Do you remember?
It would have been 2003, 2004.
You think so?
Area.
All right, let's see. The 2003 Louisville Slugger preseason All-American team. The shortstop was Stephen Drew. That's the first team. Second team was Jamie D'Antona from Wake. I'm sorry. Second team was David Reaver from Richmond. Third team was Brian Bixler and Anthony Lunetta. Mm-hmm. All right, so that was 2000. Give me a year.
Try 2000. I mean, with Green, it would be 2002-ish. I got to remember. I mean, 2002,
well,
2004.
Do a Google real quick and see if you can find the exact year. 2002, Drew Meyer was the first team preseason All-American.
So there's one.
In 2002.
Yeah.
First team, this is Louisville Slugger. For you, Tim, this is the Louisville Slugger. Preseason All-American team in 2002, Drew Meyer, coming off a year in which he batted .303, 7 homers, 37 RBIs, 20 stolen bases, 12 doubles. Jeff Baker of Clemson was the first team All-American at third base. Your second team shortstop that year, preseason, was Javi Rodriguez of Miami. Your third team shortstop was a couple of guys, Eric Arnold, Rice, and Quintanilla.
Yeah, check 2000. What year are you?
That was we're looking at 2002.
Okay, because 7/9/2002, Khalil Green won the Golden Spikes Award.
2002.
Mm-hmm.
So we
that would have been his.
Let's go to 2001. Let's go to 2001 preseason All-Americans. Shortstop in the first team was Bobby Crosby of Long Beach State. Second team was Seth Davidson of Southern Cal and Steve Holm of Oral Roberts. Third team, Drew Meyer, Tim Merritt, Eric Arnold, Jeff Keppinger, and Jeremy Curella. Had a bunch of them, that third team. So there you go.
Yeah, Baker was a finalist for the Golden Spikes. How did Khalil Green never win or get a preseason honor? So we know Drew Meyer did twice.
Yeah. Drew Meyer twice was listed on the preseason All-American team. So there you go. At least once. Yeah. Mark Teixeira here in 2001 was a preseason All-American at third base for Georgia Tech. He was coming off a year. The previous year, he batted .427, 18 home runs with 80 RBIs.
Yeah, that's when they had those high-powered aluminum bats.
Yeah. Yeah, they were all slapping the ball all over the place. That's a great question, though. Thank you very much for that. You kind of got us spinning. Oh, here, how about this? In 2001, the preseason pick, National Player of the Year, 2001, Kip Balknight. He was coming off a year of 17-1, 2.81 ERA, 143 strikeouts, and only 34 walks in 144 innings.
He won the Golden Spikes that year.
In 2001. He went on to win in 2001, right?
His last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for that. We appreciate it.
But never pitched in Omaha.
That's correct. Never did. You never know how it's going to go. But he was a great player in his own right. They had, they came close, but never could break through. But, I mean, that's just like, let's see. That's just like, what am I thinking here? Oh, yeah. Well, Georgia basketball, right? It was after the human highlight film
Dominique
left that they went to the Final Four the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? So, sometimes you lose that great player, but the team left behind comes together as a great team.
But that was the interesting thing, because all those players mentioned that one of the reasons they came to Georgia was to play with Dominique. Yeah. So
one more player in that 2001 preseason All-American team on the first team, Dallas McPherson from the Citadel.
Yeah.
Well, remember, Virginia went to the Final Four after Ralph Sampson.
That's right. That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks for the call. We will be back. It's 36-25. Make that 36-27 Ole Miss. Time running out. First half. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. If you want to join us tonight, 800-956-7266 is the phone number. Give you the update on South Carolina and Ole Miss. If you're not following along, 39-29 Ole Miss at the half. Moody hits a three-pointer just before the half to put them up 10. He's got 12. Perez has got 12. Ole Miss is shooting 43%, USC 39%. Ole Miss with 7 threes, USC with but a single three. Cautious leads USC with 8. Hakacius has got 6 and 4 rebounds. Cautious has got 5 rebounds. USC's winning on the boards 23-15, including 10 offensive. They've got 10 second chance points, but it ain't good enough so far. They've got 20 points in the paint, but that's not enough to offset the 21 points Ole Miss has got from the perimeter, plus their 6 of 7 from the foul line. USC has turned it over 6 times. Ole Miss has turned it over 3 times. So, you don't want your team, if you're Frank Martin, to become one of those teams that, can't win on the road. All of a sudden they become road weary.
You better win on the road if you want to win in March. That's usually the rule of thumb. And the Gamecocks, they had a great start. We all know that. But people are starting to poke holes in their resume in terms of quality wins, and you got to finish strong. 16-1 looks great now, but if they're sitting at the end of the season at 20-11, it's not going to be as impressive.
Ole Miss has a player who played just a little bit in the first half, and I got to bring up his name. His name is Etu Brutus. Actually, it's Terry Brutus.
Well, here's the key.
But it's not as good as the Bacon.
Here's the key to the
Dwayne
committee. You're 10-8.
Etu Brutus.
Okay. You're 10-8 in the conference. You get in the tournament. Here's the other wild card. Frank Martin. Don't tell me a coach has nothing to do with getting you in the tournament if they think you're close to being out or in. That's one of the things. They did that with the previous coach, but he was similar to a no name. So.
All right, back to the phones we go. 800-956-7266. It's Cockett in Columbia with us next. Of course, this is a man of many names. I heard you on Kevin Cohen's show this afternoon, and you were using your Christian name instead of your made-up multiple nicknames. So I guess when you're on a political show, you kind of feel like you have to be a real person. And when you're on a sports show, you can just be whatever.
Well, my name is Speedy. So what I'm calling it about, when you look at the Gamecocks men's basketball compared to real soft on the road, you got the tallest guy on their roster. He's about at least 7 foot. He don't know how to lay the ball off the board. He always seems to bounce the ball off the board. And he more lay the ball off the board. You buy 7 foot and you that close to the rim. Don't you think it's gonna be better if you just dunk the ball if you can't lay it in? It's just pathetic. I watched half of this game and they look pathetic on the road. And I say this, it's a nice feel good story to see that that they're winning. And you see a lot more people at the USC basketball game watching the men's more than watching the women, by far. But when it comes down to March and they ain't going to make it, do y'all truly believe that the AD is going to extend this contract?
Well, I would certainly think so. Because first of all, they're almost at the point where they've won more games this year than last year. They're certainly going to surpass that. So that'll be 4 straight years of improvement. Now it's getting to that point where you want to get to the tournament, no doubt about it. And Ray Tanner is definitely Frank Martin. Frank Martin's still his guy, even though he didn't hire him. Frank Martin has still got to be his guy. Little surprised, as we talked about, I think, a week or two ago, that it has gone this long and they've allowed the contract to trickle down to just 2 years. That has not become an issue at this point. It hasn't become an issue in recruiting or anything like that.
Had you not had a coaching search, their contract probably would have dealt with. I think they wanted to get this football solidified,
Mhm.
because let's face it, that's the gravy train.
Mhm.
Then you deal with the other contract. The other key is this. The Russians proved in the other century that 5-year plans don't work. And what would you rather have? Slow progression, winning, and build a steady program, or do what happened in SMU where Larry Brown pulled strings? They can't go anywhere, but they got an undefeated team.
Undefeated.
Thank you, Cockett. Always good hearing from you. We'll be back. All right, just checking the recruiting Twitter feed that we follow, and South Carolina has offered a 2017 defensive back from Washington, Deion Jones, guy that apparently Muschamp and company were recruiting when they were at Auburn, and so they were familiar with him. Apparently a pretty good player, so he gets the offer from the Gamecocks to go along with the others. Clemson has also showed interest in him as well, out of Washington, D.C., now offered by USC. Clemson and Virginia coming up. Are the Tigers going to make it 6 in a row? And they've done it on the road. Mm-hmm. They've gone to Syracuse and won.
Parentes is a guy you have to stop. Yeah, it's interesting. South Carolina beat an Auburn team that wanted to suddenly get fired up and beat Kentucky on the same
and made them look
floor.
bad. Made them look bad in the second half.
The interesting thing is, I think probably – you let Brogdon have all he can eat. It's the other guys you stop, and that's Gill and Parentes. If Brogdon can beat you by himself, hats off. But I don't think he can do it. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a defensive game for Clemson, and just like all road games, the bench will have to play a part because let's face it, the whistles are a little bit different when you go on the road. So you got to be careful.
All right. Clemson and Virginia tipping off in just a couple of minutes on the ACC network. USC and Ole Miss, second half coming up on the SEC network. Ole Miss is up by 10 and led pretty much throughout the first half. Kind of stretched things out here towards the end of the first half. I was just checking to see if South Carolina ever led in the first half. And, yeah, the Gamecocks briefly had a 1-point lead.
11-10.
On a couple of different occasions. They led 13-12. They led 14-12, had a 2-point lead. And that was it. Last time they led was 14-12. Moody hit a 3 to make it 15-14, and Ole Miss has led from there.
Well, you know, the key point, Ole Miss outside of Moody is not consistently a three-point shooting team. Now, some people look at the game, well, the Gamecocks down by 10. You know what? That's 3 3-point shots in a free throw and 5 2-pointers. And you're going to have several possessions in the second half because of that 30-second shot clock.
Got to get some stops, got to get some turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
The Gamecocks are at their best when they're in transition, when they're coming off turnovers and pushing it down the floor and able to get into the lanes and drive to the basket. And they apparently, not having seen the game, but apparently having trouble doing that. K-Mac, final thoughts from you.
We'll see if the Gamecocks can come back from 10 down on the road.
And Clemson, a 10-point underdog up at Virginia. We'll see how the Tigers fare.
And Wofford up by 8, 50-42 with 11 minutes to go in Spartanburg over Tennessee Wesleyan.
Okay. Everybody have a great night. We will reconvene tomorrow night here on Sports Talk at 6:06 to talk about everything that goes down tonight. Check out the recruiting on the website. We'll see you tomorrow.